All right, hey, welcome back. I'm Craig Ford, Mayor of Gadsden. I have Brett Johnson with us today. So Brett and I came on at the same day when we got sworn in, and we feel like we got waterboarded for about 2 weeks, and
A little bit.
yeah, and now we brought on some more staff. So Brett's with the mayor's staff, chief of staff. We're fortunate to have Brett. I've known Brett quite a while. He worked with me in the legislature in Montgomery when I was a minority leader, and then he went on to Liberty Learning Foundation. And a lot of people are familiar with that around here in Gadsden, Etowah County. That's where the program comes in. And I went the other day, and they have the lady come in dressed up like the Statue of Liberty, and they teach the kids about government. And it's a great program, and our whole county, I think, is bought into it, hadn't they, in the cities too. So, Brett, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Where to begin? Like you said, I'm a native of Etowah County, from Hooks Bluff originally. Moved back here to Gadsden not long ago. We've been in Boaz. I've kind of been around the state. I've worked in Montgomery. A lot of people don't know the start that I got with you was when you were in the legislature. And I was a member of your staff part-time, and I was a student at Jacksonville State working with constituent services. So that was kind of my first introduction, to politics, really working with you as an undergraduate political science major. And did that for 3 or 4 years while I was at school. Then I started lobbying down in Montgomery for the universities. I worked for AEA, worked for the educators around Alabama. And then, like you said, at Liberty Learning, I've come back to North Alabama and now here with the city of Gadsden. So
You left out a big part. You were SGA president at Jacksonville State. And that's back when President Killingsworth was not the president. It was Bill Meehan. And then Don was a lobbyist. And so we all ran around in Montgomery together. It's funny to see how both of y'all have done so well. But Brett has 2 boys. They look like tree trunks, and then he just had a birth of a daughter. How old is she? 2, 3 weeks?
She's about 6 weeks.
Oh
now.
Lord, time's flown. Okay.
It's going
so
quick.
what are their names?
So my oldest son is Lake. He's 3.5 years old now. Like you said, he's just a little fireball.
Yeah.
Our middle son is Mac. He is just turned 2 years old on December 8th. And then our daughter is Marcy. And like I said, she's 6 weeks old, and she's the caboose. That's
the caboose. You sure?
Yeah, that's it. Yes, sir.
And his wife, Tiffany, teaches at Weston Elementary where my wife used to teach. So it's kind of like a pattern. I see us kind of going, but we only got 2 kids. Yeah. Luckily and unluckily, I guess. But my man, Brett and Tiffany do a great job with their family. They live in Gadsden, and does Tiffany go back to work after Christmas?
She does. The 1st of January, she'll go back. She's a reading specialist now. This is her first year as a reading specialist at West End, and it's kind of something she's been shooting for and eyeing. She's always just been a 3rd grade teacher and loved that, but now she's getting to work with teachers and coach them on teaching reading and literacy, and gets to kind of diversify what she does every day. And so she's looking forward to getting back to work and doing that, having fun.
She's good at what she does, but y'all are very educated too. You got a lot of degrees amongst.
Yeah, we got a few. Yeah. So I have a bachelor's in political science and a double major in public relations from Jacksonville, and then I went and got a master's of public administration, which helps me here in the city a lot. And I'm working on a doctorate in leadership right now. Tiffany's got a bachelor's in elementary education, early childhood education from Jacksonville. She has a master's in instructional technology from Jacksonville, and then she just finished. She'll graduate in a week with an EDS in reading, which will help her in her new job too.
That is great. That's fantastic. But so I'm not going to talk about my education because it took me 5.5 years to get out with a BS.
It served you well.
So, but from Auburn University too, by the way. Chamberlain just told me he was an Alabama fan who's behind the cameras.
I just say go Gamecocks.
There you go. That's got 3 trifecta. But so what we're doing in the mayor's office, we're taking the 24 departments and we're dividing them into lanes. And Brett has one of the most. Everybody he has is important, but he has the fire department. And Brett, tell us a little bit about the fire department.
The fire departments is one of the large ones. We have some departments that are smaller in terms of staff and budget, and some of the larger ones. Fire has about 114 budgeted personnel. Obviously, we have 8 fire stations across the city of Gadsden, 3 shifts, A shift, a B shift, and a C shift, and 3 assistant chiefs, and you got an EMS chief and a fire inspector, or fire marshal, a training officer. They do everything. They don't just deal with structures and fires and stuff like that, but they do the majority of emergency medical calls in the city and kind of around the surrounding area. So if you're unfortunately ever in a car wreck or you have an emergency medical situation, they're all pretty highly trained on those first response issues and get there and get to it quick. So naturally, with a lot of people, you've got a lot of challenges and a lot of money, that's invested in those human resources. So trying to keep those streamlined and going and serving to meet the needs of the city is.
So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you don't know, we'll just move on. But what % of the calls are EMT calls?
Roughly, it's about 2/3. I'd have to look
yeah.
at the numbers to verify, but I think roughly.
So that's
60%.
important for everybody to know. It's not just when the firemen get called out. It's not a fire like we thought as a kid.
Yes.
Building on fire. People burning or something. But it's a EMT. It could be a drug overdose. It could be,
it could be any kind
heart
of
attack,
seizure. You just don't know.
or somebody dropped in the floor and they need to be picked up. So our fire, they do a great job, and Brett does a great job, developed a great relationship of open lines of communication, and Brett, kudos to you. But so that's been excellent, and and it's a large line item in the city's budget, and it should be in any city's budget, because you're dealing with fire trucks, fire facilities, separate facilities, and then personnel too. So
yeah, and so one of the things a lot of people don't realize is the city of Gadsden, there's a thing called an ISO rating, which is related to your homeowner's insurance.
Yes.
But it really just determines how safe your city is protected against fire. City of Gadsden has an ISO rating of 2, which is on a 0 to 10 scale, I believe, and the lower you are, the better. So a 1 is actually the standard. I mean, it's the top tier.
Yeah.
It's hard to get to
which
a 1.
lowers your homeowner's premium too.
Yeah, it does. And so to be a 2 is really something we should be
Yeah.
proud of. Not many cities around Alabama. I think it's the top 5%. I think
So it is, and you could take, coming from insurance, you could take a ISO 2 with a $200,000 home, and the premium might be $1,200. You could take a $200,000 home and put it out in the rural parts of the county with an ISO of 9 or 10, and the premium may be $4,800.
Right.
So that lets you know the difference in how important it is to have a low ISO rating and a good fire department. And how often? Do you know how often they have to?
It's
validate
roughly every
that?
4 to 6 years, and it just
Okay.
kind of varies. Yeah.
Okay.
So
All
we gotta
right.
keep it
So
up.
what other departments do you have?
So I work with the engineering department, which is obviously big for the city of
Yeah.
Gadsden with all of our structures and infrastructure around the city, and our MIS department, which the external public doesn't get to see a lot. MIS stands for Management Information Systems. It's really another word for IT.
Yeah.
And so internally in the city of Gadsden, to maintain our business operations, we got to have a pretty big network
Yeah.
to do email and all the stuff we got to do to run a city. And so it's working with them to make sure our infrastructure on the digital side is taken care of with MIS.
And they're just as important as any other department. I mean, if we don't have them, we don't function.
Right. Yeah.
So and Heath with engineering, he's like drinking out of a fire hose, but he makes it look like drinking out of a water fountain.
He does. He's great at what he
you
does.
call him, he comes. He got a great work ethic, and engineering's kind of like a layup, but because he just runs with it, you just got to say, yeah, I got to prove it. His favorite word is absolutely.
We can make it work.
Yeah, we can make it work. So we love that. But so Brett, what's the thing you like so far about the job? And
That's a great question. So what I love so far is the optimism that I'm feeling just with everybody we deal with. The city of Gadsden is, as a lot of people know, is poised for opportunity. You're great as a mayor, but it's kind of like we've got so much potential. There's nowhere to go but up in terms of leveraging all of our resources. And so just the energy that we're feeling and trying to not let anything slip through the cracks and keep the wheels turning is what I've loved so far. So the phone calls, the emails, the people coming into the office, we just take them, full steam ahead and roll with the punches.
so we've been the people need to know, but Brett and I will email, and all of us in the mayor's office will email 1 in the morning, 11 at night, and when we wake up, when I wake up in the middle of the night and let the dogs out, I check my email. So we keep saying it'll slow down, but we hope it doesn't in a way. But we have a great team, and Brett's one of those spokes in that wheel that we got to have, and you bring a lot to the table, and we appreciate it, and it means a lot to us. So before we leave, what's one thing about you that we didn't know that you could tell the
that's a good
public?
one. So one thing about me, people are finding out as they walk into my office, I got my little speaker playing every now and then when I'm not having meetings. I'm a fan of heavy metal music.
Really?
Yeah.
Lord, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
you don't see it on the outside, but
Yeah.
you might walk in there.
Oh,
and-
you're the most calm person
yeah.
in the world.
I'll tell
Steve.
Google to be quiet when y'all come in,
Yeah.
so you don't hear the screaming.
Oh, that's pretty good. So Brett's the youngest in the staff, and he's the most technological person. He can figure all this out. So I don't have a Google yet in my office. Maybe I need to get
You need to
one.
get one, yeah.
But well, thanks for coming. And listen, we're glad to have you on board, and I know Gaz is fortunate to have you. So
Thank you.
we
Appreciate it.
appreciate you. Thank you very much. And that's Brett Johnson.